Hello, heroines, and welcome back. I hope your week is starting off wonderfully. Today, I wanted to bring Evelina Chorus into the group because she works on manifestation, visualization, things like that. And I thought for those of you who are navigating this difficult time after heartbreak, divorce, uncoupling, that it could be interesting to see how incorporating this technique and this expertise into your life might make a difference. So, Evelina, welcome.
Well, thank you. It's wonderful to be here and share,
It's
my
nice to have
story.
you. Yeah, definitely. So, talking about your story, why don't you tell us a little bit about who Evelina is?
Yeah, who I am. I am Ewelina, original from Poland. I live actually 15 years outside my home country. And in this journey of expat, I came across also some episodes where I actually disconnect with myself, but later I rebuild it and I come back to the manifestation, visualization. I am passionate about interior design and photography and all creative things. That I can say it like in shortly. That's what I love to do and who I am actually.
Wonderful. Thank you. So, I want to go back to what you said about at some point you disconnected with yourself. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, that's the journey. Actually, I moved outside my home country with willing. This was my really wish and dream, and I accomplished it. I did everything to make it through, but I didn't been fully prepared. Actually, I expected some things what can happen because in your country, I was mostly always brave and always stand up for my words. But when you live in outside your country, and maybe in this community are also probably ladies who live somewhere, and then sometimes you go for the compromise. And for me, actually, this was the moment when I decided actually I make one decisions against myself this time. And this was actually the relationship with one guy, which actually I was also grew in other culture, where actually living together was after the marriage, not before or whatever. Here where I'm living is very free. And this was first like this was not aligned with myself, but later I thought, no, why not? Because this was very complicated for me for my work and having my own home and running and here, and this was huge distance. That's why after 8 months or something, I decided, okay, let's do it. And this was actually the decisions that I did against myself, and also other parts. I actually this was the first step to slowly losing my confidence, to disconnect with myself. Later, I attract also a jobs environment where I met a lot of people who complain a lot and a lot of things which I was never a person who really complained a lot. I was more like, whatever was happening, because there was always some kind of challenges. Life is never easy, but I mean, I always knew how to navigate it, and I didn't complain it about. And at this time, I also attract those people into my realm and a lot of different things. And that's been actually the part when I really slowly, because each step when I take the one decisions against myself, then later other steps, the relationships, I can say there was no any trauma, but this was also, I can say it was a little bit toxic, because that was also kind of cultures differences, but also yeah, then in some parts there was missing respect, and some things I allow it, some things of course, because there's even with jobs also when I knew it, uh, you need to go to the compromise, and sometimes in your country you will not say not do it that, or you will say okay, Of course, not always, because sometimes not everyone, but I know in my country, I will, for some things, I will say definitely no, because I knew it. There was my parents and and everything, and I knew that I can stand up in my hand. And yeah, and actually, this was also with, yeah, I was not quite earning. I was earning good enough for me to comparing with my home country, but yeah, but during these relationships, also the finances, actually, the person who we've been together, yeah, that didn't work much, and actually, everything what I was working for then was actually going in the other direction, and that's how it went. This was a very intense period of my life, but there was where actually was also the rebuilding part of who I am now, and to standing up strong for really the connection for ourselves, because that's the most important. From there starts everything. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's interesting how sometimes you talked about making compromises, right? And when we make compromises, it's like it takes away some of who we are every time we do that. And there are places where it makes sense to make compromises because that's what life is all about is we compromise on certain things, but the difference is compromising while remaining aligned with who we are and with our core values. And when we do that, we're able to move forward and be okay with the decisions. But when we compromise and it's a misalignment, then things start to, you know, to fall
Yeah.
apart in some ways, to erode.
Yes, I fully agree with it, because that's yeah what you said. And yeah, one misaligned, yeah, that's need to be really then. Of course, never everything is perfect, but if this is with your value and with your core for how you stand it for, then yeah, that's the most important part. And other things, like you said, yeah, you can compromise about, yeah, this kind of juice or other juice to drink with someone, but yeah, but are things like what I said. For me, actually, the culture was this moment, because later when I live in here 15 years, I am also freely with it, and I believe in God, but still I have also now opening myself mind for it. Then doesn't need to be, but this time when I came, this was really like for me core value, and this was actually the step what I did against myself, because if I didn't let, then I could also, yeah, spend time together and see how it will be navigate. But when you live together, then it's a little bit different, because later, of course, in foreign countries especially, then you need to start everything again from new, looking for the places and whatever. And yeah, even for in this moment and finances, then was actually I was the person who had more than, but even this is like you are connect. And yeah, then I fully agree what you mentioned now, that yeah, it needs to be, yeah, the core value.
Yeah, and I listened to what you're saying about culturally, right? Because as a transplant myself, I know there were many times where, and there's still times today when I'm like, and I've been here 40 years, I'm still like, I don't understand the thinking because I grew up in a very different way, believing different things, having different values. And how do you then reconcile those things, or can you reconcile those things so that you can be present and you can enjoy your life and still somewhat be in alignment? Do you feel that's possible?
Yes, I can say this possible, and actually I practice that now even. For me, is yeah, of course, I live and I feel free here in this country, and I feel freely, and yeah, I created also space for me to feel good. And but from other side, there are some things like yeah, of course, this is everywhere, I guess, now, even I know in my country, but like food, here actually is a lot of everything, plastic and everything. And I was always when I live it in my home country with my parents, well, mostly we eat very healthy. And later, in this moment, actually, when I was disconnected, this was also part which play role, huge role for me because I was working in place. I was also working in some restaurants, whatever, and I eat also a lot of pizzas and unhealthy, really, like and chips and fruit. What mostly I didn't eat before, and this also had affect my health because I had also a problem with my hormones. This was connection with food and the relationships self with the stress which I had also this time. But now, like, yeah, I know that the healthy food is very important for me. And I know here is a lot of things. And of course, sometimes, yeah, that's not that I can be 100% plastic free. But I mean, I am very conscious and I choose for things which I know how to navigate. And even in this culture, I know that's everything like quick and, yeah, sometimes not for everyone because here are also like two parts. Some people eat very healthy and other people like but this part for me is very important, and no matter what, I just make space for it, or even I know in some places where I was working later when I connect with myself, then yeah, then there was also sometimes no time to eat or very quick or whatever. Then I prefer not eat too at all because I really love to enjoy it, food. And I eat okay, maybe something very small like fruit or whatever, but to make the space where you can fully enjoy or take break later or whatever. And this what I can say. Actually, this is example of food. There is a lot of different examples also, but this is one like maybe one because here is actually this is maybe not I'm living 15 years and in this country when I came and riding bicycle is very almost I live in Netherlands and this is like normal, you know. And for me, I never love it riding bike. Sometimes on the holidays I use. This is not that I cannot, but I not. And till now I don't have bike, and I didn't feel that I am worse or whatever. I find other ways to navigate it, and sometimes even I met also people here who are also born here and they didn't use it too. That's why this is. But this was very important for me. I like sport. Yeah, I like also be active and sport. But biking is something which I remember when I had even starting biking when I was very like kid and my father was with the stock behind and I was not liking. I remember that I was angry. I said I don't want that. And of course, I learned it, and this is great practice. But then here, let's say it's 90% people use it. I don't have to, and that's something what you need to, but you need to really create that. And this actually part I never give compromise, even in this disconnection part.
And it's okay, right? We have to find the things that work for us, right? So you were talking about the disconnection and the realignment and how that also impacts other areas of your life. Because if we're disconnected in one part of our life, it's very often we're going to be disconnected from other parts of our lives. So, how does one start to reconnect with parts of our lives that we haven't touched in a long time?
Yeah, that's of course journey because when you step into the disconnection, that is really long process, and actually you every step, then you are actually not closer to yourself but far away. But from other side, for me was like I still believe that there is something I wanted also go into interior design because this was my passion, and I thought before it also in Poland, but later I chose other direction of study in Poland, and later I here. this was also keeping me even in those disconnection moments, then where I want also go what I want to do, and I knew it, I need to learn the language and everything. And but still there was some peace with me that is not then even then I am more or whatever, but this is like yeah, I came, I knew it, I won't put my life outside here, and I knew it, this was temporary, because I even knew it when I moved it, I knew it, I will work in restaurants, but this was okay for me because this was my dream to live actually outside my home country. This was really always my dream. When from high school or whatever, I always thought I will build my life outside my home country. And this was not like, of course, economic can always have influence, but this was not really then I thought economically. This was something deep in my heart which I wanted to accomplish. And yeah, and then later when, of course, I knew it, this I had the whisper, then there is something. And and this is temporary. I had like, this is temporary. And when I was working even in a home care later, I was working also in restaurants, but I saw a lot of people who also died, and this was for me very strong, because I was very sensitive and I couldn't handle. I For me was very, but I was working quite long there because I had a lot of flexibility. However, this environment complains a lot already, but from other side for me, because I also started the course of the interior design later, the study, and this was like from one side like bittersweet little bit. Then I felt really bad there because I thought, of course, yeah, that like even the work self I didn't felt, of course I knew there is more and I can accomplish more, but even not this part, but the part of those people, and also seeing other people which I was talking, I was smiling and they died next day or whatever, seeing that, of hearing then they are not anymore. And this was really, really, yeah, strange, but I knew it. And I went, and then I started looking for, first for several developments. First, actually, I started with YouTube, even like Tony Robbins. I started first with YouTube. I went or to the gym or somewhere, and I start with it. And this was the like building the muscle in between, somewhere where I was going to work or whatever. And yeah, and in between in this relationship was also going a lot of different things. And in this moment, like this was the time to shift everything. And yeah, actually, I mix little bit the time line, doesn't matter. And yeah, and actually, this was the moment when I step into first the YouTubes. Then I join some master classes. I took one mentor, second, third, whatever, and other things, some healings and whatever. And yeah, and actually, I went also towards where I want to go, because I knew it, what I hold also. I knew it also, my passions. And yeah, and I went actually, but this was not easy, because I can say it, in this relationship what I was really, before even going to work, I was crying because there was so many different things. This was like, maybe for someone will be, great life, but for me, like personally, we had so many differences. Then this was really a lot of hurting, and this was like, and I remember those moments. Then that's actually, now I'm like talking. Then I was going to work, but actually I was also with tears in my head. But when I went to my work, I was not thinking about that. I was just focusing there. And yeah, and that's how it went. But this was not the best moment. But later I just start to reconnect with, slowly, step by step. And when I saw also, because I was seeking for, and of course I took also action. This is the most important, because even when you are disconnected and you feel you didn't see the maybe light in the tunnel, but when you see something, or you have sources, or whatever of you don't have, there is so many things, especially now, because this was back then that was quite a long time ago. But now you have, and yeah, you can first try with something and then step more and more and more. And that's how I did. And this was very, very, yeah, this was very powerful. I didn't regret that I chose myself again. And I rebuilt it much more stronger, I can say it. Yeah.
That's, I love hearing stories like this because it reminds me that no matter how difficult things are, we can always come back. And it's partly a choice, partly a decision, partly working on the things inside of us that make us behave in a certain way. And I wanted to ask you because you talked about the relationship a couple of different times, and I'm curious to know what your biggest lesson was from that relationship.
Yeah, the biggest lesson is actually listen to yourself and listen to your intuitions. Because my intuition actually had also the whisper, even when we met, like first or second time. I had actually first time when we met, and second time, and this was my decisions because don't want to give the number to this person, but he gave me his number and he said, think about that. And I had like few days or something. And later I was actually already whispering, doubting, shall I send him message or not? This was the first part because your intuitions know, and where is everything okay, there is no doubt. There is the light signal, then you know, even if there are some actions which are really brave and outside your comfort zone, but if this is like peace and you know that's okay, there is no doubting, that's you can figure out. But if there is some doubt, then you know that that's something, and that was actually first signal. And I could that listen, but I didn't. But this was also now from this perspective, I can look for it. That is also test for intuitions because only this was the big yeah, this was hard lesson to learn, but I can say it, and by this way this was the yeah the one of biggest test of my intuition, and I can say that's the lesson, to listen to the intuition and to ourselves. Yeah.
So how is that intuition connected with manifestation?
Yeah, that's very very good question. But yeah, intuition is actually one of the most important, powerful things which we have within us, and we can utilize it. Because, of course, manifestation, when we are deep connected with ourselves, we know what is good for ourselves. And even can be now thousand, especially now is a lot of noise, can be thousand opportunities, and we know what is good for us because we can listen to that voice, and this voice is always whispering us what is the next step. And even if this can be then this opportunity, then we feel, oh, that's great, but we feel like, yeah, there is something, some missing point, or let's wait. What I am also for action step, but sometimes I am also practicing them. Sometimes you need to take the pause to figure out, is that really, yeah, sometimes you know you can also navigate some things from ego or other things, that's why sometimes it's good. But when we are really good connected with ourselves, then the intuition is very strong, and then second part of it is actually to listen it, because this is something what still women have problem with, listen the intuition, because you know you get the whispers but you didn't listen. And from that, I can say then you listen your voices. And how is that with manifestation? You listen, then even crafting your vision, you know that's what is it. And even if you have your own vision and you want to bring your vision to the life, then actually you are you connect to that, and you sometimes you ask yourself some questions. Is that really what I want? You set, of course, the intentions, and pure intentions. Yeah, even intuitions can help you to set the pure intention, because intention is actually the first fundament of, yeah, of the manifestation. And setting pure intention is something, yeah, very important, but our intuition can help us also with it. And take the aligned steps, because of course, yeah, we can take 1,000 steps, but if we will take 1,000 steps, we can go everywhere. But if we know where we are going, and even maybe later we need to redirect because our destination is still there, but maybe we take some parts, and we are also self-changing, because sometimes when we are growing, of course, we change also, and maybe something what will be for us on this moment aligned, maybe in half year or 3 months or whatever, we will think actually this is like, you want to live in nature, but maybe you love sea, but actually you love mountains, or you can combine that, or you can choose one of a second, and a little bit redirecting actually. Yeah, that's how I can actually say it. Yeah, the easiest way.
And I love that we're ending on we're always evolving, we're always changing, and we can always make a different decision. We can always choose something else, and that gives us our power back. So, Evelina, I just want to say thank you so much for being with us today. And heroines, I hope that what Evelina said resonated with you, that you found something in there that is going to kickstart your journey back to yourself. She'll throw all of her information in the comments underneath, so don't hesitate to reach out to her. In the meantime, I just want to say thank you for watching, whether live or on replay, and we'll talk soon. And Evelina, thank you so much for being here with us.
No, thank you. Thank you also for having me. And this was my pleasure to share. And I wish that this will also, yeah, help guide those who really need that, because I know how it is also to be in some
Yeah,
darker spaces. And doesn't need to be traumatic, of course, can be, but everyone is different, and we are all different, and we feel things different. For what one
yeah,
person will be, yeah, like end of the world, for other person will be nothing.
yeah.
But we know how we that feel, and for me this was really also, I can say this was dark moment for me.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing your story.